that's what else would we do for our 10th episode spectacular, but make it even more scuffed?
That's right, our 10-year anniversary.
Our 10-year, I keep saying 10-year, I don't know why. Our 1/10 of 100 episodes special.
Yes. All right, where are we dropping, boys?
Tomato
By
Town.
that I mean, what are we talking about today?
Tomato Town is where we're dropping, bros.
I don't even know where that is.
Dude, you can't be yawning. During the 45 minutes that I was unresponsive, I was almost falling asleep.
I'm so freaking tired.
I was with Hannah and we basically took a nap.
Yeah.
So we can't. This will be a really high quality listening experience if we're both just ooh. It'll be like episode 9 where I had to edit out 15-second pauses because of the delay on both ends.
Heck yeah, that'll be straight fire, bro.
Yeah, how you doing? How's life?
I'm tired.
Yeah?
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, I really don't have much going on. It's just school and work, and I'm already ready for the semester to be over, but it's fine. I've been crawling my way through this MATLAB tutorial.
Oh yeah, is it your first time using
for
MATLAB?
a class? Yeah, because I don't know the first thing about using MATLAB. So I got to do the tutorial, and it's for a grade. And oh my gosh, I cannot bring myself to do it in a timely manner.
Well, at least they give you a tutorial.
I
feel
that's true.
At my point, I don't know. All my classes just assume I have certain skills that I was never taught.
Yeah.
They're just okay, in this class we're going to use Python, and I hope you know Python because we're not going to teach you. This is a 400 level course where we're using Python, and you should have already learned it. And I'm like, no one taught me, and I've been too lazy because I didn't want to learn it.
And the thing is even in that electrical engineering class I took.
Yeah.
They were oh yeah, use MATLAB, but they didn't even tell us there was a MATLAB tutorial or where to find that.
At least there's a tutorial.
Yeah, you can use MATLAB, but then the class that's a higher level class is here, we're going to actually start with the tutorial before we expect you to use this thing for a grade. Which is you know what? I feel that's the proper way.
That's cool.
Things.
At least it's for a grade because I'm in a class. I'm in a class that I'm really excited for. I think it'll be super fun. It's a robotics class. And
yeah,
and we're literally programming self-driving cars. They have a model city set up on the 4th floor of the engineering building in the robotics lab. And
is that you're the one who gets to use that room?
Yeah. I also have walked by that room for 2 years, and now I'm gonna be using it. Which is pretty cool.
There?
Yeah. So
that's dope.
We don't have to build the robots. It's a kit that we had to assemble, and then we will then program. But there's the kicker: is it's a kit we had to assemble because this is a new class. They're doing this in a new way or whatever. So this is the first semester that this class has been run. Assembling this freaking robot probably took me 3 or 4 hours, and that's what I did in the lab the first week of school. And I haven't started on the first homework or the first actual lab assignment because I've been assembling this robot. And the dumbest thing is we are renting the robots, so we'll return them back to the department at the end of the semester. So whoever's taking this class next semester does not have to spend 3 to 4 hours of the first week assembling this robot. They just get the robot I made, which is really lame. I wish I got credit for that. Just give me 2% extra credit because I built the robot or something. Come on.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That feels uncool a little bit.
It's cool that you have an actual MATLAB tutorial because I feel something else that I always complain about is classes that do that. Like the kind of thing where it's like every science class, even beyond that, but just like all those classes that are like, okay, cool, this first unit is about the scientific method, and I'm like, thanks, thanks for testing
Yeah.
me on the scientific method
Yeah.
in college, and it's like they're, and granted, that's like, I take like one chemistry class and that's my GE. I'm sure that they don't do
Right.
that in subsequent chemistry classes, but it is like in that case it's like super freaking annoying that they assume such a low like base level of knowledge, but then in engineering classes they do the opposite where they're like, yeah, you probably learned Python at some point, like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's exactly right. It drives me batty.
So
Absolutely batty,
absolutely
dude.
pigeony, absolutely
Yeah.
marsupially. So at least they have a
Absolutely.
MATLAB tutorial is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it's honestly it's nice because it used to be that I just kind of flubbed around and tried to figure things out, and it sucked. But now I don't have to. Now I can glub around instead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, welcome
it's
one and
pretty
all
good.
to the 10th episode of Rajtat. Somehow they keep getting away with this. No one has
Yeah.
stopped them yet.
Yet being the key word. One day we're gonna get copyright striked by YouTube for
By
our
YouTube?
own videos.
Actually, though,
I don't know, man.
there's this musician I follow, and in one of their videos they were like, "Hey, yeah, they were like, yeah, I'm gonna like put out some of like my last album. Uh, my last album was like just thrown onto streaming platforms, and I never like did YouTube
Yeah,
put it on YouTube because they have the freaking time and money, honestly, to like release basically each of their tracks with like its own with its own art, and so they use that in like the YouTube, like when they release individual songs on YouTube, they
yeah,
have fancy art that's different than the album art. That's really cool. I wish I had those kinds of resources. Um,
yeah,
but because dang, that's expensive. Anyway, in that they were like, yeah, so this last album that I released like a couple months ago, I never put it on like YouTube, so I'm gonna work on doing that in like the next couple weeks. And they specifically said like I won't be putting it on YouTube Music, and none of my music is on YouTube Music because that is how it gets into the YouTube copyright system, and so then
oh,
it will be caught. It'll be caught in other people's videos, and they're like, yeah, I want my videos to be able to like I want my music to be able to be used in like anybody's anything, so I don't put it on YouTube
yeah,
Music. And then I was like, huh, wait a minute, because I've never had any desire to, um, you know, copyright strike the zero people who are
right.
using my music as like a background song for their video. I think that'd be freaking incredible if anybody did that. But
I mean, you copyright striked me.
no, I didn't. Stop telling lies.
I'm telling truths. You just can't accept them.
Anyway, I'm gonna disregard that because it's all a fib. So I
I don't know
put
what
all
you're
of my
talking
music,
about.
I put all of my music on YouTube Music because that is like my streaming platform of choice. I don't use Spotify
Yeah,
or anything. I use YouTube Music, and when I
yeah,
distribute, and I have like the list of platforms, then it's like, okay, what platforms do you want to put your song music on? Because it's you have that choice, which is pretty cool. Um,
right.
YouTube Music and YouTube are different things. They're like listed differently. They are
Oh, that's kind of weird.
like they're like, do you want it in the YouTube copyright system? And I don't click that checkbox.
Yeah.
So I when I heard this musician say that, I was like, really?
Sussy boy.
Sussy
I almost said
baka.
sussy baka, but then I would have wanted to hurt myself.
I don't know why I got on that topic. I just rambled about YouTube copyright for like 5 minutes, but yeah.
No, it's cool. I love talking about random stuff that has no bearing on anything that we've been talking about. I'm just kidding. That was really sarcastic, but I mean, I don't know. It was like a fine thing to talk about. Nothing wrong with that. It's part of your life, part of your
Part of
human
my
experience,
experience, you know.
part of your you.
So
Jothiel.
you're probably wondering how I got here. Well, let me take you back to the beginning. Let you into my mind, into my twisted psyche. You know, I'm
Yes.
not like other guys.
And I'm not like other girls.
I
Mostly in
saw
the fact that I'm not a girl.
one of my favorite memes is a picture of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, and it says, "To me, Crazy Frog is just a regular frog."
That's pretty good.
It's one
That's
of my
pretty
favorite memes.
solid.
So good.
We live in a society that calls Crazy Frog crazy.
It's all a label.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So what have you been up
Excuse me. I apologize.
to? I forgive you. I accept your apology.
Thank you.
I'll have you know that like I almost said last week's episode. Like heck, we get these out
Yeah.
weekly. We recorded
Yeah,
episode 9 like a
jeez.
month ago.
And that
um,
was like during the summer when we had a modicum of free time.
yeah, it took me a long time to edit that one. Um, anyway, episode 9 has had like a lasting impact on the way I view the world, and by that I mean
Really.
every time I eat bread, I keep being like, holotypic
There's that
accoutrements.
holotypic accoutrement there. That brings me more joy than you know. I love that. Spreading the good word.
Spreading the good word. Are you still gonna make a video, a holotypic accoutrement deep dive? Is that
Oh,
still a thing you're
absolutely.
gonna do?
I'm hours into this project.
Yeah. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going really well. I'm actually really excited to make this. It's just going to be a lot more difficult because school started now and I'm taking too many classes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, without fail, like I'm glad I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm glad I'm not.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah.
I'm glad I'm not a
Is that right,
mechanical
Jason?
engineer.
Well, you know what? That makes two of us because I'm not a mechanical engineer either.
Okay,
I'm
I'm
just
glad I'm not
trying to
a
be
mechanical
one.
engineering student because
Yeah,
every like every freaking semester I feel like you and I take about the same number of credits, and your life
and I'm
seems
always
about
like,
50% worse than
ugh!
mine.
Yeah.
And it's not just you, it's like every ME student that I know, like all of my ME friends, it's like it's a tough one. It's quite the workload.
There's so many, Jason.
So many statics and dynamics, right? And
Well, there is only one of each of those, but everything else, there's so many.
so what are you studying this semester? Because literally all when I say
Mechanical
statics and
engineering.
dynamics, that's like the extent of. I hear there's like CAD classes.
Yeah, so I took a CAD class last semester. That was one of my favorite classes I ever took, actually.
Oh, cool.
It's a really fun class. It was a difficult class, but it was a really, really good class. So I'm taking mechanics of materials, which is dealing with the
Material
mechanics
science.
of material. So it basically, okay, so I took material science last semester.
Those are different
This,
things.
yes. So material science deals more with the atomic structure
Ah,
of
okay.
materials
Okay.
and reading the graphs that tell you how materials act under stress.
Gross graphs.
I thought it was a really neat class, actually. And the graphs, okay, yeah, they were actually kind of bad. I was gonna say they weren't that bad, but they were kind of rough. Um, Mechanics
But
of
now you're taking
materials
mechanics of
is doing the
materials.
math around engineering stress and strain
Uh-huh.
and all that sort of stuff.
Okay,
So
okay.
less about knowing how to choose what material is going to work best and more about um, dealing with the material,
I
like what
I
kind of math and stuff you're going to be doing.
I'm pretty sure that like behind the scenes, the ME department, like the professors, are in cahoots
Yeah.
with like the psych professors. And there's got to be some psych professors that are like, "Hey, you guys are teaching. While you teach these students about the stress and strain of materials, we're studying the stress and strain on their psyches. Like they are our."
Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me
There's got to be
in the
there's
slightest.
got to be some paper somewhere that's like the like
If you push your engineering students this far, this is the precise moment in which they break.
what are the mental limits of the average third year ME student? How much psychological torment can they withstand
Yeah.
without losing your teaching license?
At what point do the pressures of life become too much for these basically children?
Let's be honest, these guys still haven't fully developed their prefrontal lobes.
They still got at least 2 years on that.
We're going to have them do advanced math and science while also having to pay rent for like the first time in their lives.
And on top of that, they'll be worrying about groceries and what they'll eat for dinner tonight.
And whether their girlfriend still likes them. I want to see
And that's
that.
just the tip of the iceberg.
I want to see that like super complex chart with like the exact, criteria for each student where it's like relationship with girlfriend and monetary financial
Yeah.
stress and class stress into this just beautiful radial mess of lines. And then you just pull out your straight edge and you're like, okay, from here to here and here to here, that's my intersection. Okay, cool. I'm in the oh shoot, you're about to get it zone. I can
you
take
perhaps
I can take two more. I can take like if I took one more credit, I'd be in the high risk area. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're on to something.
not in like remediating these problems, but simply discussing and exploring them, applying math
Yeah.
and science to human suffering. So anyway, yeah. Anything else you've been up to? I got something I could rant about for a
Uh,
second here.
yeah, no, I haven't really been up to much of anything.
Have you ever heard, Ryan? Have you ever heard of the TV show
Yes.
Infinity Train?
Yes.
You
No,
have?
I haven't actually. I have no idea what
Oh.
you're talking about.
For a second, I was like, "Whoa, oh, 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 oh."
Yeah,
Um,
no clue. No clue whatsoever.
no doubt about it. Friggin'
Not,
Kronk over here.
not, not a clue.
Um,
Not a clue.
so
But Ned, holotypic. Haha.
Infinity Train is a TV show, ostensibly aimed at children, because
Ostensibly.
it was produced by Cartoon Network in like
Uh-huh.
2019 or like 2017 around there.
Right.
So it's like
Right.
pretty recent. Um, I think maybe it like ended in 2019 or something like that. It's about this girl named Tulip who she's like in the woods and this like weird train shows up out of nowhere and then she gets on the train and then
Yeah.
she's the train, as you could assume, is infinite in that like there are like an infinite number of train cars and every train car is like its own little pocket universe. And
Yeah.
and so she makes friends with a friendly robot named One One and comes into contact with a whole slew of colorful and peculiar characters as she travels from car to car. And
Yeah.
and some of the cars have like puzzles to them. Some of them are like because it's always like, okay, cool, you entered the next car, get now like find the door and figure out how to open it. And
Yeah.
you can she finds that she can usually just like sprint from like one car to the next, but she keeps doing that forever and like doesn't make any progress because she's trying to escape this train. She wants to go back home, even though
What if you could just, if it's infinite, why would you just run through it and not be like, let me see if I can find any tools in this infinite train. I could
well
get one out, like the infinite train derailer. I don't know.
the infinite train trolley problem. If you do nothing, one person will be run over for eternity by an infinite number of wheels. If you pull the lever, five people
An
or
infinite
whatever.
number of
An
people
infinite number of
will
people
run over once.
once each. Oh well, that's actually an interesting trolley problem. Would you sentence one person to guaranteed death or an infinite number of people to potential death? I mean, I guess by definition that
No,
like
no, no. It's an infinite number of people to guaranteed death, or one person to eternal torment. And
eternal
suffering
torment. There you go.
forever.
There you go. That's an interesting idea, actually.
Is it, Jason?
That's like have you ever read have you ever read any Brandon Sanderson?
I have not, but I've heard his stuff is moderately to severely good.
So his probably his like second most famous series because I'm pretty sure Mistborn is like maybe what he's most well known for. But
I
another
think it
really
might be Stormlight.
yeah, Stormlight is very popular and also very
Yeah.
epic and grandiose in scale. Please,
Yeah.
Brandon, please give us book five. We want it so badly, Brandon. We've been so good. Please, Brandon, give us book five.
Sounding like the Game of Thrones fans.
Well, it's not that bad because freaking what is his name for G Martin, whatever his name is, the guy who wrote J.R. Tolkien
George R. R.
Martin,
Martin.
George R. R. Martin, who writes
George
R. Martin, the guy who writes Song of Ice and Fire, Game
Yeah.
of Thrones books. I've never read any Game of Thrones books, but
Same.
I've literally watched like copium inducing. Okay, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I've watched
You've done coke.
I've watched a video or two of
Yes.
Song of Ice and Fire fans being like the man writes very slowly, and I watched a video that was like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, book freaking 6 or 7 or whatever will like basically never come out because like based on interview, like he's been working on it for like 5 years, and based on interviews we can like kind of track how quickly he's been working, how quickly he's been writing based on like what he said, and the pace is like
Yeah.
glacial. Like I'm pretty like he just doesn't want to finish this book or something. So
That's
it was
funny.
like based on what he said, projected finish is in like 2028 or whatever. And it's like, oh no, I'm so sorry.
Wow.
Anyway, Brandon
Serves them right.
Brandon
For some reason,
Sanderson
I don't know anything.
serves them right because their show is horny or whatever. But that's what I
Yeah,
heard.
that's like all it is. And everybody who watches Game of Thrones is gonna scream at us now.
I mean, maybe if
Like,
we said that
no,
like
I watch it for the
5 years
plot.
ago, because when it was actually like more popular. Aren't they
Yeah.
making like a spin-off show right now? Is there something like that airing? I don't know. I'm not into Game of
Probably
Thrones.
because it'll make them money.
Yeah. But being a Brandon Sanderson fan is very different because Brandon Sanderson
Yeah.
has a YouTube video where he literally gives like weekly updates, and he's like, this is what I wrote, this is what I worked on, here is how I would say this book is shaping up. Like I would say I am 35% done with this book. And it's like, holy frick, Brandon, you're too good. You're too good for this world. Like
An angel.
we don't deserve this kind of information. And he's like,
Yeah, no, that's actually incredible.
And
Meanwhile,
so-
George R. R. Martin is like, all you jerk asking stuff about my books can just screw off.
he's like a freaking little kid who's like, oh, the more you ask, the less I want to do it. Like, like I don't
Yeah.
know. But
That's exactly what it is.
so the other thing that's really nice about Brandon Sanderson is like he like last year he was like, okay, cool, I'm working on this book and then I'm going to work on this one, and he was like, okay,
Yeah.
like just so everyone knows, I'm going to start Stormlight 5 in like early 2023 or something like that. And I was like, okay, cool. Not only like yeah, he's not working on it yet, but he literally said like, yeah, I'll probably start working on it around here. you know?
He's
Like
communicating with his fan
it's
base in
it's
even
really
a
crazy.
small way.
Yeah, it's so I actually haven't
That's pretty cool.
it's I actually haven't I haven't checked any of his updates in a few months,
Yeah.
but I know that he's working on it. I presume he's working on it, so that's cool. Very excited
Yeah.
for that
Heck
book.
yeah.
He also like freaking just published the prologue and was like, "Hey, here you go," and we're like, "Ah!"
Really?
Yeah,
That's kind of awesome. I
it's
respect that.
yeah,
I
it's
respect that.
it's really cool. Um, oh man, the prologues of those books. Okay, side note, because this is still a
Yes.
conversation about Infinity Train, just so you know. But we're on a side
Oh
note.
right, I legit forgot about that.
We're on a side conversation about Brandon Sanderson,
We're on a
which
side quest
I
right
had
now.
like one quick thing to say, and I still haven't said it yet. But we're getting there. But now we're on a side note from that to say that the five, the so yeah, the prologue,
Yeah.
the prologues of these five books each tell the story of the same event from five different perspectives, and each time you get like a
That's
bit
neat.
more information because you see like you see what this other person was doing at the time, right? And
Yeah.
so it's all telling, it's all accounting this very pivotal moment in the world, which is when this king was assassinated, and it's the
Right.
assassination of this king, and this assassination leads to a war between these two peoples, which spans the whole rest of the books. So like this is like not only is it a foundational character moment because it's
Yeah.
like one of the main characters like was the brother of the king, so of course like it really changed his life when his brother was murdered, and like yeah, so it's like it's basically one of the most important events that has happened in the character in like the world, and so
Right.
there's a lot to it's a very important scene, and every yeah, so every book is that same night from a new perspective, and it's really dope because the first in the very first book, this prologue, the first thing that you read in this like freaking 2,000 page book is
Yeah.
from the assassin's point of view of the assassination, which is already like super dope, like it's so cool.
Oh yeah.
And that's just how you start, and then you get more and more accounts. You learn as the books go on, you learn that like this king had a lot of secrets and was like involved in a lot of things that like other people didn't know about, and knew a lot more, like the characters are discovering more and more about the world and stuff, which is
Yeah.
another insane thing about Stormlight, because like you talk about fantasy with good world building, like Stormlight has incredible world building. The world is very vibrant, very detailed, but also just
Yeah.
like at in the start of book 1, the characters in this world do not know everything about the world, and they continue to learn more. And like there are mysteries. They are developing new technologies, and they're learning more things about
Right.
these other races of people. Like so the world itself is like being built upon. It's freaking world building in the present tense, right? It's really incredible. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
basically the king, when he died, he knew a lot more about like the secrets of the world than like everybody realized, and it's like I'm pretty sure part of why he died or whatever, like part of why he was killed, he knew too much.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Because he was a jerk.
so you're constantly learning
Sorry.
more and more about the world, and learning more and more that like wow, the king, it's a shame he's dead, because like he really knew some things that he knew some crazy things that the characters are like taking a while to figure out, right? Anyway, all of that to say that the prologue to book 5 is from his perspective. Finally, it's from the king's perspective, and it's like, oh dang, like we've come full circle. It's so cool. Yeah, so the reason I'm really on a rant right now. The reason that the reason that I diverted from Infinity Train to talk about Stormlight was because we were talking about the infinite trolley problem, where like would you rather
Right.
have an infinite number of people get run over by like one wheel or whatever the frick we were saying, one car each, or one person get run over an infinite number of times. So in the like mythos, in the like mythology and religion of the people living in in the world of the Stormlight
Yeah.
Archives, they have these like mythical people. They're not like gods, but they're basically gods. Yeah, they have like these gods that they worship, right? And there are like 10 of them. And the gods like saved them from this like apocalyptic event that happened a long time ago, kind of thing, right? And then you
Yeah.
learn that all of that is real. It's not just a mythology, it like actually happened in history. Those gods were real people. They're also just totally ordinary people that were like called upon to sacrifice themselves to
Yeah.
like seal away this darkness basically. And so the way that they sealed it away is they basically went to like purgatory, and basically the deal was like these basically devil evil entities were like, okay, cool, if you let us torture you for eternity, we will stop attacking humanity. I don't know if it was really a deal, but like that's basically how it worked out. And so there were these
Yeah.
10 people who were tortured and killed and revived over and over and over and over and over. And by doing so, they were like keeping the dark forces away. You know, that's how they like
Right.
saved humanity. And then it's like the it's really interesting because it's like every time like they are like tortured for eternity, and eventually when they like break, when they like give up and don't want to take the torment anymore,
Yeah.
that's kind of like okay, like the defenses have been lowered and the evil people can come through and like attack the world. So when all 10 of them finally break, then there's like another apocalypse, and then that it's basically like this cycle, and then they like fight back, the demons come and like ravage the world, and these gods have to come to the earth and help humanity fight them back, and then they like start over.
Yeah.
And these cycles are usually like thousands of years long because they're insane and it takes them a long time to break. Anyway, eventually they do this so many times that they're like, you know what, we're really sick of it. There's one of the 10, or no, I'm pretty sure it's like when I'm pretty sure it's like of the 10 of them, if any of them break, then like the demons are able to like break out basically, if anybody breaks. And
Uh-huh.
so after they've done this cycle a bunch of times, 9 of them get together and make a deal and decide, hey, of the 10 of us, there's one guy who has never been the one to break before. So without telling him, because we have suffered for so long, we don't want to do this anymore. The 9 of us are going to ditch him and leave him as the only one to do it, to like, because he's never been broken before.
Yeah.
And anyway, I just thought of that. It's really freaking crazy. It's a really crazy idea and a really crazy story. Frick, Stormlight is so good. There's just so much to Stormlight. And that's just like this thing in like the mythology that you learn about.
Yeah.
That's not even like the main characters or anything to do with like the main plot, really. I mean, it has to do with the main plot eventually because there's like this prophesied apocalypse that's coming, and the prophesied apocalypse is that 10th guy who got left alone finally snaps, and so the apocalypse comes back.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought of that when you were like, would you rather have an infinite number of people get run over by one train or one guy get run over by infinite trains? Like, would you sacrifice someone for that?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say to that. I'm speechless. Speechless, I say.
That's fair. I'm what you would say speech more instead of speechless.
Yeah. That sounds like a fantasy place. The town of Speechmore.
Welcome to Speechmore. Would you like to attend the Wizard's College?
Please, we need more tuition money.
Okay.
Why the freak are there so many pirates?
What are you playing?
Sorry.
What does that mean?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please go on.
Do you just mean like in general?
Yes.
Do you mean like pirate
Yes.
related media? Because yeah, that's like the golden age of piracy, I'm pretty sure, was shorter than the combined length of all pirate media, probably. The golden age of piracy was like 20 years.
I'm going to scream. I'm
So
gonna scream.
I think it's totally fair to wonder why there's so many pirates.
So many freaking pirates.
Have you ever watched One Piece?
Holy
Now
crap.
that's a lot of pirates.
Holy crap, there's so many pirates.
There's like 1,000 episodes of that show. That's a lot of pirates.
So many pirates.
But you can't call attention to the pirates, or else now I have to go find. Now I have to sync up the video again, at least roughly.
Anyways,
I can't just slap your gameplay down.
Believe me, Jason. Believe me, there's plenty. You will not have to worry about syncing. There is more than enough. Freaking kid.
We're just lousy with pirates out here.
I'm going to scream. Somebody's going to be murdered and die. Anyways.
Is it you?
A few times, yes.
So Infinity Train.
Yes, go on about Infinity Train. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be talking about the game, but holy smokes.
No, I need you to talk about the game so that I know that I'm not just talking to myself, because I get scared.
I'm sorry. Like what? Like I have like a tape recorder going.
Yeah,
it's like yeah,
uh-huh, yeah, uh-huh,
right,
yeah,
yep.
right,
yep, right. No, that'd be awful. I'd be a bad person. Well, actually, no, I'd be a good person, but in a bad way. You know what I mean.
You know that a joke, that's a good joke. Do you want to know how I know that that's a good joke? Because Phineas and Ferb made that joke. Any joke that Phineas and Ferb made that joke. If Phineas and Ferb made a joke, that means it's a good joke.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't actually know. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
There's this one episode where, like, at the very beginning of the episode, the opening joke is like Candace is on the phone with Stacy, I think is her name, like ranting about how in love she is with Jeremy, and then she's like, "Wait, Stacy, did you replace yourself with a recorded like a recorded loop?" And it's a loop.
Oh yeah,
her, like saying,
Yeah, I remember that.
It's like a 2-second joke, but it's a pretty funny joke.
It's very good. There are a lot of good jokes in there.
Do you want to know my favorite joke in Phineas and Ferb? Other than Baklava Bear,
and I got glue on my hands. Now there's records on my fingers. What records on my fingers?
That's not a joke. You can't call that your favorite Phineas and Ferb joke, because that's my favorite.
That's totally a joke. It's a meme song. Are you kidding me?
It's art. That song is so. Okay. That song slaps.
Jokes can be art, though. Jokes can be art.
Okay, you're right. Okay, my other favorite Phineas and Ferb joke is the one, I think it's in like the freaking like medieval episode where they're like medieval for no reason, just cause it's cool. And so Doofenshmirtz is like this wizard or warlock or something, and he's doing his like he's giving Perry his spiel. Perry's like trapped. And he's giving him his spiel as he like walks down from his wizard tower that's like 100 feet above Perry. And so he's walking down this like spiral staircase. And so half the time he's like on the outside of the staircase and half the time he's inside and you can't hear him. He's like muffled, but he's continuing to talk. And so the joke is that like every time he comes out and you hear him again, he's talking about something like completely different. And you don't know how it connects. And the freaking best part is he's like, blah, 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 which is what I sounded like because I had a rag over my mouth. And he like, as he walks out, you see that his hand is over his mouth. It's so funny.
Oh, that's so good.
It's such a good joke.
The people who wrote for that show were clever.
That show has really good writing sometimes. It's really good.
Especially for a children's show.
Yeah. Took for granted how good we had it. Anyway, to segue back to another children's show with...
I thought we were talking about Infinity War.
To segue back to another children's show with really good writing. See what I did there? Because I took us back to Infinity Train, and I said Segway, which has wheels, and trains have wheels. An infinite number of wheels in this case. So,
well, wait, hang on. But hang on. So there's an infinite amount of train cars, right?
Yes, there's an infinite number of train cars.
And each train car has probably like 8 wheels?
At least, yeah.
Actually, so that means there's infinity times 8 number of
There
wheels.
might just be like 4 wheels, but they're really big.
Okay, so there's at least four times
Well,
infinity
that's just
wheels
infinity.
on
Like
this
it's a
train.
bigger infinity, but it's still
Yeah,
represented the
yeah,
same
it's
way.
still a bigger infinity. It's more than
Okay,
infinity.
okay. No wheel left behind. We have to account for all of them. You're
Yeah,
right.
jeez,
Every wheel
Bill
deserves
Clinton.
its place, its representation. So, an important thing that I refrained to mention is that when
Yeah.
Tulip arrives on the train, she suddenly has this a green number on her hand, and it's like
What?
113, and it's like, huh, what's that? And it's like a mystery, huh? And then
Oh, probably because that's how many train cars there are.
as she's like journeying through the train, it sometimes
Yeah.
it changes, but sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it goes down, and sometimes it goes up, and she doesn't know what it means. Is it like, okay, cool, am I gonna die when it hits zero? Like, what the frick is happening?
Or am I in the last car when it
Yeah,
hits zero?
yeah, and so she doesn't know what the number means, and she is on this train like for weeks, and
Yeah.
you learn later that like time passes in real time on the train. So like she's just missing for weeks, and like her family doesn't know where she is.
Oh, that's sad.
And like they don't really show it, but like somehow she has to be like eating and sleeping and like living on this train, right?
Yeah.
Whenever she finds a pocket dimension that's like safe enough, she
You've
just
got to go to the
chills
bathroom
there.
somewhere.
Yeah, right. Um well, I mean actually she never goes to the bathroom because it's never shown, which means it never happens. That's
Okay,
how
okay. They talked about this in Taz. They were like, "No, I'm gonna say I go to the bathroom this one time, because just so people know that it does happen." Okay,
anyway,
don't even try to tell me
uh
it doesn't happen.
no, what I didn't tell you is that she spends weeks on the train. This show takes weeks to watch. And like there's hours and
Uh-huh.
hours of show that's just like her sleeping, and like you can't fast forward because it's like you just have to no, you just have to
Is there
anyway,
really?
I'm kidding.
Is
There's
that
10
true,
episodes.
Jason? Is
It's
that
actually
really
interesting.
true?
There's 10 episodes and they're each only 10 minutes long. So it's like a very short, it's pretty short form.
Yeah,
Anyway, so uh in between the train cars, cuz like she has to step out uh to like walk on this little like walkway between each train car, she can see that like the train is humongous and stretches into freaking like the horizon, like you can't see any end of it. And
yeah,
when she first ends up on the train, she, freaks out and she's like, get me off this train. And so she like the train cars are like each train car is like the size of a building. They're like huge. But
yeah,
she climbs down and like the train is on rails in this like humongous empty wasteland. And so she like gets off the train and is running through the wasteland freaking out, and then these like scary beetle monsters attack her and like try to suck her soul. So like
yeah.
that's no good. Stay on the train, right?
Hashtag relatable.
So
Sorry.
so in the end, so she travels with her comic relief companion, who's a little spherical robot named One One, and they go on these magical journeys. And
Yeah,
so she can just like try to find the exit and immediately try to like run to the next car, but sometimes she finds that like there's like a puzzle to solve, or there's like some kind of denizens that live in this pocket universe that like have a problem that she can help them with. And
yeah,
as she like slows down and helps them and like makes friends and stuff, she there's another companion that joins her, is the best character. His name is Atticus, and he's the king of the corgis, and he has this like
yeah.
super deep voice, and he's the best character. He's amazing.
Heck yeah.
And as she like grows as a person, her number goes down, and so the basically the role of the train is like it's interesting because it's like the train shows up for people who are, because there's also like dozens of other people on this infinite train also
Yeah,
all doing the same thing, even though she like never encounters any of them.
yeah,
The train like appears to people who are like in distress or whatever, and then it helps them like grow as people. And when the number hits 0, that means that you have like grown in the ways that the train thought you were supposed to, and then you can leave, like a door appears and you get to go back home. And
That's
so
weird as frick.
it's what?
That's weird as frick.
Yeah, it's very strange. It makes sense from like a children's show perspective, that it's like, oh, okay, like she
Wait, so
grows
this
as
is
a
a
person.
children's show.
This is a children's show ostensibly because some kind of messed up stuff happens later, and the show got canceled after 4 seasons, and
Yeah.
the creator of the show straight up came out and said, yeah, it got canceled because like it was getting too dark and they didn't like the direction that it was going, and they didn't think it was like relatable for kids anymore, which is a shame
Yeah.
because it's a pretty incredible show, and it just was becoming more adult animation instead of something else, instead of children's animation.
Right.
So the in the first season, it's 4 seasons of like 10 episodes each, and in the first season, it's this girl Tulip, kind of figuring out how the train works, and also her personally like coming to terms with her parents' divorce, and like, you know, learning to accept help from other people and stuff. Blah blah blah. She grows, and
Yeah.
in the process, there's this she finds there's like this actually horrifying, like, called the steward. It's this thing that works on the train and like tries to repair stuff, and it's just like a giant tentacle monster made out of like wires and claws with like
It's
a
the god of
human
this
mask
world.
for a head, and it's
Yeah.
like really gross and scary looking. And
Yeah.
so there's this scary monster that shows up sometimes called the steward, that is like,
Does it like see her as an infection on the train that needs to be purged?
no, kind of the opposite. Well, yeah, sort of,
Oh.
because she's like, it's like, okay, yeah, it's like basically the steward wants her to stop. The steward wants her to stay where she is, just stay put, and just ride the train and not do anything.
That kind of defeats the purpose of
Yeah,
the
because
train.
you learn that the train, like there's a conductor, which is this big scary robot person
Yeah.
who is really mad at Tulip for like meddling with stuff. The conductor, you learn, is not the original conductor, because the original conductor is actually One, the little robot that her friend is.
Ah.
One is like the actual conductor, and the fake conductor, who's this big scary robot, is actually
The
a
fake
woman,
doctor.
named Amelia, who, like her, you get to see her backstory. Like her husband, you see her like fall in love with this boy, and then he like
Yeah.
dies. They're only in like their 20s or something. Like he dies super young, and she's super sad, and the train appears to help her with her grief, but instead
Yeah.
she figures out how to manipulate the train and takes it over, and
Well, that's rude.
and so the train can produce more cars like forever. It just continually grows, and so she's taken it over to try to like create a pocket universe where her husband is still alive. Like that's what she's trying to do. And
Yeah.
the end of the season is Tulip basically like defeats her and makes One the conductor again, and is like, hey, I'm 13, but I grew as a person, and you should like deal with your grief, Amelia. And then you kind of it kind of leaves Amelia there.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is Amelia's been on the train for like decades, and she's been kind of ruining a lot of things, and I don't really know what bad things she's been doing. I guess like destroying train cars that weren't helping her get her husband back. But she also has a number on her hand, and where Tulip's number was like 100 and then went down to 0, Amelia's number is like so long that instead of just fitting on her hand, it like wraps around her hand and up her arm and like to her neck because
So
she's just
she's like a bad person, basically.
in the eyes of the train at least, yeah. And also just yeah, she's a pretty bad and selfish person because
Are
she's
you
just
trying to say that the train can be wrong, Jason? I don't know if
well,
the train would approve.
that's an interesting thing that kind of it's so that's an interesting thing about the show. It's like it introduces this concept of like, okay, cool. There's
Yeah.
this magic train that appears to people and helps them get over their life, get over their problems. Yay! And then like
Woo!
subsequent seasons kind of deconstruct that concept because the second season, only the first season is about Tulip. At the end of the season, Tulip gets off the train and she
Yeah.
goes home and has grown. The second season, in the first season, um there's an episode where each of the episodes is usually like Tulip going to a new train car and going on a new little adventure and learning something and growing or whatever. And in one of
Right.
them, she goes to the chrome car where everything is like made out of chrome and is super reflective. And
Yeah.
it turns out that her reflection is like its own sentient being on the train, and
Oh.
she has to work with her reflection to like open the door, but her reflection tricks her because it's like, hey, I am sick of being your reflection, I want to live my own life, dang it. And
Yeah.
her reflection tricks her and traps her in like the reflection world, and then tries to escape, but she can't leave she can't leave the train car because there's like no reflective surfaces out there. She can't like exist
Right.
without reflective surfaces. And then there's this freaking like there's like the reflection police show up to like because it's like, oh, there's like a rogue reflection we have to capture and bring her back, and it's like
A
kind of
service that
silly.
we need desperately here.
It's super weird. It's like, okay, this is I'm kind of following. There's a reflection world and there's reflection
Yeah.
police. Like, okay. And then in the end, Tulip, like, because her reflection betrays her, but then Tulip shows her kindness and saves both of them. Like, she saves her. They cooperate. They both get out, and Tulip also saves her reflection. And the way that they make it so that she can exist outside of the chrome car where everything is reflective is she gives her like a
Yeah.
hand mirror that she just like holds against her skin. She just like straps it to her leg or something so that she like always has a reflection. It's kind of ambiguous how the system works, but basically that allows her to like exist outside of the car.
That sounds like lazy writing to me.
A little bit. I mean, it's kind of it. The way that they do it, it's cool. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
they escape, and then it's like Tulip is like, okay, cool, let's like keep going. I'm trying to like find the end of the car and escape. And her reflection is like, nah, I'm good. I've like spent my whole existence doing what you've been doing. I want to go be my own person and do my own thing, right? And
Uh-huh.
and so she just leaves, and it's like, okay, cool, that was a weird episode. And then
Yeah.
you finish season 1 and Tulip goes home, and then you're like, okay, season 2, how does the story continue? And the first episode of season 2 is what Tulip's reflection did next, where she is now traversing the train. She is the protagonist of the second season, which is kind of
Yeah.
bizarre. And I mean, I guess it's convenient because they could keep the same voice actor.
Right. And all the same animation models.
Yeah. So to further like define herself as her own person, she like shaves her head and like gets different clothes and stuff and kind of goes for like this punk look.
Yeah.
And
Edgy.
so but the whole so she runs into this boy named Jesse, who's another passenger on the train doing his own
Yeah.
journey, and Tulip's reflection, who eventually chooses her own name. She chooses her name to be Lake, which is kind of
That's
cool.
a weird name.
It's kind of a
She should
weird
be made
name.
fun of for it.
Yeah, but like reflections, I don't know. It's kind of cool. I don't know. So the
Nope,
second
she still should be dead.
the whole second season while Jesse is trying to learn his life lessons and grow as a person so he can get
Yeah.
off the train, Lake is also growing as a person and like is learning to, accept help and stuff like that because
Not betrayed
yeah,
herself.
not betray people and like because she like freaking hates Jesse at first and like okay, learn to work with
Yeah.
him and stuff. Um, the whole time they're doing that, she is still actively being chased by the Reflection Police, and
Yeah.
they're trying to like they are trying to kill her. They have these freaking like grinders, like these sandpaper grinders that for some reason is their weapon of choice. They hold them like a freaking baton, like an arm baton. It's just
Uh-huh.
like a giant. It's just like a 2 foot long, like rolling saw that they kill you with. It's kind of intense and cool. Um, and
I make
so
fun of that, but like, be honest, getting scrubbed with sandpaper, that hurts.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure
It's not a
it's I'm
fun
pretty
time.
sure it's not just sandpaper. I'm pretty sure it's like metal and will really rip you up. Um,
Yeah. But she's a
so
reflection, so she can't be ripped up, right?
she can definitely be ripped up. She probably wouldn't bleed, but she would die. She
Oh,
would cease to be.
well,
Um,
I guess that's death in its own right.
so she wants Lake wants a number. She wants the train to like recognize her as a person, and it just like refuses
Yeah.
to. Like the train considers her a denizen, which are just these creations of the train that it uses to facilitate the growth of the passengers, right?
Right.
She's
Right.
not a passenger. And and so and and so that's like her struggle. And so in the end, the end like the ending is kind of silly, but the way that they do it is that when Jesse's door appears when he gets down to zero, they
Yeah.
or no, they get to like the intake part of the train where like when a passenger first is brought onto the train, they like probably like unconsciously are brought to like this one train car where they are like there's this machine that gives them their number and then they're like taken to where they're going to start, right, and
Yeah.
they find that train and Lake tries to go through it and is like, okay, give me a number, and it the way that they get it to work is they like there's like this thing that reads your number and she holds her hand out, but like Jesse also holds his hand out so that his number like reflects off her hand and so it thinks that she's a passenger or
Yeah.
something. And then so in the end at the end of season 2, Lake leaves the train. Like she's successfully is given her own door and the train finally recognizes her. And I guess she's just in the real world and it doesn't you never see her again, so you don't know you're not shown like what the repercussions of that are.
Yeah. You don't get to see the universe rip itself apart when she meets her other half.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a cool story. And then season 3 goes further to like deconstruct the
Yeah.
concepts that have been set up beforehand, where in an episode of season 2, Lake and Jesse run into some other passengers who are like these freaking like they look like freaking Mad Max teenagers where they've got like makeshift weapons and weird gear and stuff. And they're
Yeah.
like killing denizens and like destroying the train and
Okay.
doing
Well,
like
they suck.
doing as much damage as possible. And they have
Yeah.
really, really high numbers. And it's like this group of kids who are basically a cult and are like they like worship Amelia, the conductor, who has like the biggest number of all, and they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
the goal is to make this is just like this train, nothing on this train is real. The goal is to just live in this anarchist paradise where you never have to leave and you can just wreck stuff all day and try to make your number go up, I guess. And so
Yeah. Never could have seen that one coming.
and so I don't know why they're okay with that because that means like these kids have also been on the train for literal years,
Yeah.
and they're fine with that. I don't know. Um, and so you just like have this one interaction with them in season 2, and then just like the same pattern they did the last time, two of those kids, the leaders of this freaking cult, are the protagonists of season 3,
Yeah.
where they have stupidly high numbers and are like they hate denizens and they hate like everything about the train, and that's where the show gets like
Right.
really dark because there's like straight up murder and stuff, and the way that they kill people is really dramatic and really intense, which is they throw
Uh-huh.
them into the wheels of the train
Oh.
and they call it wheeling, and it's like holy frick, they just kill people.
Yeah, that's bloody.
Yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, so and then season 4 is weird because it's kind of its own thing that is just it's about just these two Canadian guys that get on the train and they grow as people, but it doesn't really have much of a place in like the whole story. And that's the end of the
I mean, come
show.
on, like Canadians would get on the train with like a 5 max anyways.
Yeah, who knows how long they wouldn't have to stay long at all, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a really cool show, and it's a shame that there isn't more of it. And but the creator is like, okay, if it looks like, because he's said before that he had plans for 8 seasons, so he
Yeah.
definitely had like more of the overarching story planned. Um, uh,
Why didn't he keep making it then?
because Cartoon Network was like, you killed people, and it was really graphic and scary.
I mean, he can self-finance and self-air it, right?
Probably not. I mean, who knows?
Just buy a
Because
buy a TV network and just freaking do it.
if Hell of a Boss has shown me anything, it's that indie animation can be obscenely high quality
Yeah.
somehow. I don't know how the frick. I don't know if you know what Hell of a Boss is, but like I don't know how that show is financed. It's got to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars with how high quality it is, and like
Yeah.
they're like actively pumping out season 2 and it's just going. I don't know how they're doing it. Anyway, the creator has said that like if it looks like the rest of the show will never get made, then he'll like release his plans for the last 4 seasons. But until then, we'll just freaking never know. I guess that means
Yeah.
that he thinks that there's still a chance it could get made though.
Yeah, maybe on like Adult Swim or whatever.
Yeah, cuz frick, it's pretty good. I want to watch the rest of it, please.
Well, this is kind of an awkward place to end, but I kind of have to
Yeah, how long have we been going? My
skedaddle.
gosh.
I think about
About
an
an hour.
hour. Um,
I feel like we talked about like 3 things. I apologize for that.
no, no, you're fine. I mean, it's partly my fault, but like totally mostly your fault. So
It's entirely
I'm
my
joking,
fault,
I'm
yeah.
joking.
I mean, I'm glad I was able to rant about something because when at the start of the episode when we were both like, "Oh, I'm so tired," I was like, "Oh
Yeah,
man, this
this is
isn't
gonna
gonna
be
be rough."
good. Yeah,
But no, we found our way there.
yeah. I'm sorry I made fun of the things that you love.
I'm sorry that I loved the things that you made fun of.
Yeah, you should be, nerd.